Hello, everybody. Welcome in. As we have people start to join us, Autumn and I would love to see where everybody's tuning in from. So if in the chat you want to drop where you're located, would love to see where all of you are right now. I'm in California currently.
And I'm in Florida.
Florida. And oh my gosh, I was like, Russell, Antarctica. New York, okay. Perfect. New York. If you're joining in, we just asked where everybody's tuning in from. It's always fun just to kind of get a pulse on where we're all located. So we love to see where everybody's tuning in from. It's so fun. Autumn and I are on opposite sides. She's in Florida and I'm in California. So we will give it a couple of minutes just to let everybody tune in and join us. Autumn and I are super excited to have you all here today. I feel like today's topic is very top of mind for all marketers at any given point. How do we land in the primary tab, the inbox, and not the spam folder? So Autumn and I are super excited to walk you through some best practices, strategies to make sure that all of your work is getting put to use. I'm going to go ahead and just kick us off. I'll keep it slow since I know people are going to be trickling in. But Autumn, if you want to start us off by introducing yourself.
Of course. Well, as you can see, my name's Autumn Argueta. I have been with MailChimp for about 3 years. I got to work on different sides. I've worked with our product support team. Now I'm with our customer success team. So I've got some experience on all angles. So it's been fun.
I love that. Jack of all trades. And then I am Jordan. I'm one of our program managers here at MailChimp. I've been here for 4 years, and I actually run and manage this webinar program. So this is a very near and dear program for me, and I'm so glad you guys are here. So I'm going to keep us moving, and we're going to just jump right in. So we have a short but mighty agenda. It doesn't look like a ton, but we do have a lot to cover with you all. We're first going to start off with deliverability and authentication, moving into audience quality and what that kind of looks like, which will lead us into engagement and engagement strategies that we should all be keeping top of mind. And then we're going to close out with a live Q&A. I hope that today's session prompts questions. We're here to help answer those questions. I want you to leave today's session feeling confident and good about how to make sure that your campaigns land in the inbox. Like I said, when we started, I want all of your hard work to actually pay off. So couple housekeeping items before I totally kick off. We will be launching a survey at the end of today's session. So while we are all still together, I'm going to launch a survey. We're always looking for feedback. We want to know what topics are top of mind for you all that you want us to have future sessions on. If you have any questions, there's no dumb questions. Please drop them in that Q&A tab. You should see it on the right-hand side of your screen. Autumn and I will answer them throughout this session, and then we'll answer some live as well. And if you see a question that someone asks, go ahead and just give it a thumbs up and upvote it. That way we know to answer it live because it's probably a common question for everybody. And then if you do want to expand your screen and make it larger and full screen, go ahead and hover over the bottom right-hand corner, and you should see a large screen. It's like an outline of a box. Click that icon and it'll take your screen full. And then the most important thing is, yes, today's session is going to be recorded and you'll get an email copy of it sent to your inbox tomorrow. So feel free to sit back, relax. Don't feel like you have to take notes on everything we're sending because you will get a recording tomorrow. And one thing I did not mention is within our survey, we have the opportunity for you guys to say, hey, I want someone from customer success like Autumn to reach out to me after and follow up with me and just go over the content more. But we do have the opportunity for you guys to connect with our team because we're here and we want to support you. So take advantage of that survey at the end. And with that, we're going to dive right in to our first topic, which is deliverability and domain authentication. So this topic in itself is so important, and deliverability can be a little daunting. So I just wanted to kick us off talking about what is email deliverability and why is it so important. So simply put, email deliverability is the process of your emails successfully landing in your subscribers' inboxes. So it's a measure of how many of your emails actually reach that primary inbox instead of bouncing or landing in the spam folder. Where deliverability, like why it's so crucial and why it's so important, is because this directly impacts the success of your entire marketing strategy. So if your emails don't reach the inbox, your audience can't see your message and you can't get the results you want and are spending so much time trying to get. So getting into the inbox is the first and most critical step for any email campaign to be effective. I feel like that is obvious, but I just wanted to kind of explain it quickly. And then I want to break it down even further, of course. So on this slide, I want to clarify a couple terms that I see my customers get confused about, and that's delivery and deliverability. So let's first talk about delivery. Think of this as like a mailing letter. I like to put it in easy terms. So delivery simply means the post office, for example, or in our case, the receiving mail server like the Gmails of the world or Outlook. And it's if they accepted the email. So if your email doesn't bounce back, it's considered delivered and it's made its way to the provider system. But at this point, we still don't fully know where it landed. Like, yes, we can see it was delivered, yay, but where was it delivered? And that's going to bring us to deliverability. So this is the much more important question. Did the email land in the inbox? So this is all about placement now. Did your message get sorted into the primary inbox? Yay. The promotions tab, it's okay, but not ideal. Or worse, worst case scenario, the spam or junk folder. So the key takeaway on this slide is delivery is the acceptance, it getting delivered, and deliverability is the actual inbox placement. So you can have a delivered email that still ends up in spam, but our goal with all of these best practices that Autumn and I are about to take you through and strategies that we're going to give you is we don't want your email to just be delivered. We don't want to just check that box and walk away. We want to make sure that you have high deliverability and that your emails are landing in the inbox. So hopefully this makes sense. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. If you want further clarity, anything of that sort, please drop them in the Q&A. But now I want to take a deeper look and talk about 3 key factors that play into deliverability. So first we have domain authentication. Think of this as your way of providing to Gmails and Outlooks of the world that you're a legit sender and you're not a spammer and you're not pretending to be someone else. So by setting up authentication protocols, you're essentially showing the email system that you are who you say you are and you're not lying. And this not only proves trust and security, but it's also going to increase the likelihood that your emails land safely in the inbox instead of the spam folder. Next, naturally, it takes us to list hygiene. So this means keeping your contact list clean and up to date, which can be tricky because I know we all probably wear a ton of hats in our company, but you should only email people who have explicitly given you permission to contact them. And that's what we mean when you hear us today talk about collected consent. It's them giving you permission. So a couple best practice, which we're going to talk about more in today's session, and you might feel like it's a little bit repetitive, but it's on purpose, is to regularly remove those inactive or invalid email addresses and watch out for contacts who consistently don't engage. You can do that with segmentation, which we'll talk about. And just setting the stage, poor list hygiene can lead to higher bounce rates and spam complaints, both of which can hurt your sender reputation and lower your deliverability over time, which makes sense. If you're constantly sending to emails who are bouncing or not open, Gmail and Yahoo, they see it, they pick up on it, and they're like, this is a little, sketchy or risky. I'm going to actually push this to the spam since my user is not opening these. And then finally, let's talk about sending frequency. maintaining a consistent sending pattern is going to help you build a stronger sender reputation. So if you send emails too sporadically, your domain might look inactive. And if you suddenly ramp up the volume, it can also raise red flags for spam filters. So you're probably like, okay, how do I win? But the key is just to find that steady rhythm. So one that's going to keep your audience engaged without overwhelming them, and one that's going to allow you to gradually scale your list. And so as it's growing, you're finding that good balance of consistency. I feel like that's going to be the theme of today's session, is just consistency, staying up with your sends, and also keeping an eye on your account as a whole. It's best practice. So to sum up this slide really quick, it's strong deliverability depends on authenticating your domain and maintaining that healthy list and sending consistently. And honestly, when these three pieces work together and they're functioning correctly, your emails are far more likely to land in the inbox and drive those results that you're spending so much time trying to get. So that was a lot of me talking, but alas, here we are. I wanted to touch on domain authentication. This is such a tricky topic for customers, I know and see. So I want to just cover these few quick things. So if we know deliverability is the measure of success, then domain authentication is our foundation. How I like to explain this to my customers is authentication is like giving your emails a digital passport. It tells mailbox providers like Gmails and Outlooks and Yahoos, yes, MailChimp has permission to send on my behalf. And without your domain being authenticated, your emails look a little bit suspicious and are far more likely to land in spam. This actually is not optional anymore. Google and Yahoo now require authentication for bulk senders. So this is an FYI, and if you already know this, sorry for being on repeat, but anyone sending 5,000 or more emails a day needs to have their domain authenticated. It's a one-time task that you complete through your domain host, like if you're on GoDaddy or Bluehost. I do want to let you know that we have resources to help you know what to look for, because let's be honest, it can be a little daunting if you're not super technical, which is okay. I'm going to actually I'm going to take us an app and show you where you can access how to, one, check if your domain's authenticated, and then two, if it's not, the place where you go in app to find your domain authentication process. And this brings up such an important question that I hear my customers ask. Who owns this step? Like I'm a marketing coordinator. Do I authenticate the domain? What does that look like? And the person who implements this is typically whoever manages your website or your email domains. So this could be your IT department, it could be your web developer, or if it's you, welcome. This is the best session for you to be in. But my recommendation here is to ask whoever you would go to for a new email address within your company, or whoever helps you troubleshoot email addresses or email issues. They're going to be the best person to help you authenticate your domain. Okay, let's go in app. I want to quickly take us in app, and I'm going to zoom in. So we're in my test account. This is all fake information. So once you log in, I want to show you where to find how to authenticate and to check if your domain is authenticated. So you're going to come to your homepage and you're going to click your profile icon in the top right-hand corner. Mine is a smiley face. And you're going to come to profile right here. And it's going to take you, like I said, this is my test account. You're going to see this settings profile page. You're going to select domains. It's loading. Okay. So now this is your domains page. This is where you can add and verify an email domain. And this is where you can check if your domain is authenticated and if it's not. So as we can see, my MailChimp.com domain is authenticated. Amazing. If you want to, let's say it's not, and it says not authenticated, it'll have an orange pill here instead. What I love is without having to Google or search in our knowledge base article section, you can select this how to authenticate a domain. And it's actually going to take you directly to our help article. You don't have to leave. And it's going to have a YouTube video with Cody. He walks you through exactly the steps you need to authenticate your domain, all of the information you need. So it's all inclusive. It's all right here. But what you want to look for is, yes, this green authentication button. And then if it says not authenticated, this prompt, it'll say start authentication, and it'll actually take you through the steps. Step 1, we need this CNAME records. And then of course, if you're like, this is very daunting to me and overwhelming, please reach out to our success team. 1, you should all see this within your app, connect to an expert. This doesn't take you to sales. It doesn't take you to a random location. It actually connects you to people like Autumn, who's amazing and can help you navigate your app and answer any of these questions about email domain. So I wanted to just show you quickly where to find that, because the app is vast and large. So again, if you click your profile icon, select profile, select domains, that is going to take you to the domain section and help you figure out where to find your domain. So I'm going to take us back in app, and I'm going to just round out my first section with leaving you with a couple of best practices. So again, I said I'm going to be repetitive. I warned you, but the first one is just send from a consistent domain. Think of your sending domain as your brand's digital address or digital passport. You want that stability and you want that recognition. So don't rotate domains. Don't constantly switch your from address, because consistency is going to build trust with mailbox providers and your audience to make sure your emails don't look suspicious. Keep your sending patterns consistent. So spam filters, they look for that sudden unnatural change in volume where you send a ton and then you ghost your audience for 6 months. Huge red flag for spammers. So keep consistency, even if it's just once a week or once a month. That is consistent. Just stick to it. Like I said, avoid mass spikes in your volume. And if your email list is growing, increase your sending gradually. So this is what we call warming up, and it's warming up your sending volume. And it's a really good, just safety best practice for scaling your sending cadence and warming up your audience. You don't want to just spam them all at once. They're far more likely to unsubscribe if you were to do that. So just keep it consistent and learn. You'll test, you'll see what resonates best with your audience. And then align your from name and your brand. So what I mean by that is your audience should instantly be able to recognize who the email is from. Make it recognizable and always avoid misleading subject lines. So you want your from name to be clear and you want your content to be relevant to what the subject line promises. What I mean by that is don't have some clickbait subject line just to get them to open it, and then your body content is completely different. A lot of times, email providers, if it is a kind of a spammy subject line, they're going to push that to spam because they're like, what is this content? It's not what you normally put. And then one thing I wanted to touch on is the from name and your brand. If your company is MailChimp, don't put Freddie from Freddie. Freddie's our monkey icon. Don't try and, deviate from your main brand. Just be consistent, own who you are. And we don't want to make your users question, who the heck is Freddie Marketing? Like, what is this? Just be consistent. We need to build that brand anyways. So keeping the same from name. So when your users see your name pop up in the inbox, they know, oh, this is MailChimp. This is legit. I'm going to open it. And then lastly, monitor technical health. So we also need to watch out for some technical metrics that can affect your standing with providers. So the most critical is our bounce rate. Watch your bounce rate and keep it low. If your email address is invalid, or if you have an email address that is invalid, this kind of brings us into our hard and soft bounces. If you guys have questions, please let us know. But we want to keep your list clean and prevent you from constantly sending to email addresses that are no longer in use or they're not responding, because this is going to actually hurt your reputation and your domain reputation. So we don't want that. And MailChimp gives you the tools to be able to identify these inactive users and weed them out. So with that, that was a lot. Domain authentication, deliverability, all that is such a meaty topic. So let me know if you have any questions, but I'm going to kick it over to Autumn to take us through audience quality.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. And as she mentioned, this concludes our discussion with domain authentication, which is one of our foundational pieces. So now we're going to move on to our second critical factor that drives your email deliverability, which is going to be audience quality. And just to let you know, this section is going to focus on who you're sending to, how they respond, and which is arguably, you're one of your biggest levers for success. So we're going to dive into why quality always beats quantity when it comes to your contact list. And Jordan, if you don't mind jumping to the next slide for me, please. Thank you. So now that we know that we need quality over quantity, we're going to talk about why that quality matters. And the reason why is that the hidden driver of your deliverability is a simple fact that mailbox providers such as Gmail or Outlook, they don't really evaluate your business. They evaluate how your recipients respond to your emails. So if your audience didn't clearly opt in, if they rarely open your emails, they consistently ignore your messages, or worst of all, mark them as spam, your deliverability is going to decline, which is going to be bad for you guys, even if your content is really good. So what this means for you is that bigger lists can actually hurt you. So inactive contacts can lower engagement signals that the providers are looking for, and complaints destroy your sender reputation. So you want to keep in mind that quality is always better than quantity. So we want to make sure that you focus on sending to an engaged, permission-based list to protect and boost your inbox placement. And if you don't mind jumping to the next slide for me, Jordan, please. Awesome. So now that we know the importance of audience quality, we're going to review some key factors for list hygiene and overall management. So one of the first things is making sure that we avoid purchase lists. First and foremost, one of the golden rules of marketing is that we never ever want to buy a list of contacts. It can be tempting, I do know, but even though it seems like a quick win and it may seem like one of the fastest way to grow your audience, the reality is far from it. So with these paid lists, they often contain a high percentage of invalid email addresses or emails that don't even exist anymore, or just were not valid to begin with. And when people receive these emails that they didn't ask for, they are often going to mark it as spam. And with each spam complaint that you guys get, it's going to be a serious hit to your sender reputation. So the second thing now is we want to also focus on segmentation. So your audience has a lot of information about your contacts, including when they've joined, where they live, how they engage with your content, and different things like that. So we can use this information to filter your contacts into segments, and then you can send them targeted messages. With segmentation also, it leads to higher open rates, click-through rates, and as well as overall engagement. So that's something that's good to keep in mind as well. And how we can look at it is like a diverse audience with different seating sections at an event. You base it on their interest. The third thing we can focus on as well is regular list cleaning. So what we recommend about once or twice a year, depending on your industry and depending on how often you're sending, it's a good idea to go through your email subscriber list to identify and remove addresses that are no longer active. Another thing is that when you're sending to these invalid addresses, it's going to hurt your sender reputation. ISPs or internet service providers will see this as you sending to people who don't want your emails or to inboxes that don't even exist. So we want to keep in mind the three things of segmenting, re-engage, and clean up. And if we can jump to the next slide, please. Thank you. So importing your contacts correctly is one of the final and crucial steps to establishing a high quality sending list. And we have three different things that we can focus on here. One is permission is non-negotiable. So we want to remember that you should only email contacts who have explicitly opted in. Permission-based marketing is fundamental because high spam complaints are the single best killer of your sending reputation. So again, we want to jump back to never buying those lists. The second thing is we want to clean up during migration. So if you guys are moving over from another platform, this is your chance for a fresh start. So you want to make sure that you're only importing engaged contacts, such as those who have opened and clicked your emails within the last 6 to 12 months. And our pro tip here is to use your email platform segmentation features immediately after import to archive any known unengaged or old contacts. And this is going to protect your reputation as well from the very first send. And then the third thing is the import process. Your contact data is only good if it's clean. So you want to make sure that your import is seamless. And how you can do this is referencing your email platform's formatting guidelines before importing. So this is going to make sure that you avoid syntax errors and maintain consistency with naming conventions, setting a clean and organized foundation for your entire email program. If we can jump to the next slide, please, Jordan. Thank you. So we've covered the why. Now we want to look at best practices that you can implement to maintain a high quality, engaged audience. One of the first things is that you, again, want to use permission-based signups. So you want to ensure that everyone in your list is wanting to be there. So this means that you're only emailing people who opted in or explicitly opted in. Use clear, trustworthy sign-up forms, and consider enabling double opt-in for extra security, especially if you guys are a high-risk industry or you're running a giveaway. The second thing is that we want to use a clear welcome automation. And within the first 30 days of your sending is the most important for your engagement. So we recommend setting up an automation that triggers when someone joins your audience. We would have email number one, which would be an immediate send as soon as your contact signs up to your audience. And in that email, you would give them like a warm welcome. You'll set the expectations for the content that they'll receive and different things like that. Then you would have a secondary email, which would go out about 2 or 3 days later. And in that email is where you'll share your best content or products that you might be selling. And this is your chance to improve early engagement, which immediately strengthens your sender reputation. The third thing, again, is making sure that you keep your list clean and your sending consistent. So finally, you want to maintain your list health and your sending rhythm. So we want to make sure that you monitor your bounce rates and keep it low by removing any invalid addresses immediately. And then the second thing is maintaining consistent sending and frequency. So we want to, again, avoid massive and sudden spikes in your email volume and increase gradually as your list grows. And as well, just keep in mind, consistency builds trust. And with that, we're going to jump it back to Jordan.
Amazing. Thank you. A lot of great questions too, Autumn, coming in the chat. I love seeing everything that this is bringing up to mind. So thank you so much for pushing these questions to both of us. And yes, like she mentioned, now that we've established trust with authentication and ensured our quality with list hygiene, now let's focus on the final and kind of ongoing deliverability factor, which is engagement. So like I mentioned before deliverability, I also want to just start off with, what does engagement truly mean? So this is the signal that mailbox providers like Gmail and Outlook, they trust the most. So they don't just guess about your reputation, they measure how people respond to your emails. And I feel like I kind of mentioned that in the beginning. So they're going to look at signals like opens and clicks, which are positive signals. They want to see our customers replying to emails. This is not the case for everything, because I know a lot of times our customers are just sending marketing emails. They're not asking for a reply, but should they reply, that is definitely a strong signal that there's that engagement. And then, of course, spam complaints are a negative signal. So why this matters for you is simple, is every campaign you send contributes to your engagement ratio. If you email your highly engaged subscribers, your reputation strengthens. And if you're emailing your mostly inactive subscribers, your reputation is going to weaken, of course. So the solution isn't just send better emails. The solution is to send smarter emails. So you use the tools that we give you within MailChimp, which we're going to cover, to help you target the right messages to the most engaged audience. And that's going to take me to our next slide, which is segmentation. And how does segmentation lead to engagement? What is a segment? So first, why does segmentation matter to deliverability? You might be wondering. So sense engagement is a direct signal to mailbox providers. If you send a mass email to everyone, you're probably going to get low open and click rates. And this low engagement degrades your sending reputation. So sending segmented emails is going to generate high engagement, high opens, high clicks, which boosts your reputation. So a segment is a dynamic list of contacts based on specific criteria that you set that you want to look at. So what I mean by that is whatever data you have on your customers, whether it's data they gave you, whether it's campaign data, you can basically pull together a group of similar contacts based on tags. Maybe you want to look at customers that all have a tag of high value purchaser because they buy from you a lot. And you also want to look at customers who have this tag, who were added within the last month, and who live in a zip code of XYZ. And so what MailChimp will do, it's going to look through your audience and look at those filters and grab people who match those filters. Segmentation is huge, and it allows you to send a hyper-targeted campaign. I'm getting ahead of myself, but send a hyper-targeted campaign to these people and have that content be relevant to them. They live in a specific zip code. They bought a specific item. You can have your content be very tailored to this group of people. And I'm kind of just I'm adding to what I've been talking about, but segmentation doesn't just improve your email engagement, it stabilizes and protects your entire sending program long term. How? So it improves your engagement ratio. By sending to the most active subscribers, you're naturally going to increase your opens and clicks per send, which strengthens your sender reputation to the Gmails of the world. And it's also going to reduce negative signals. So you can suppress or remove those inactive users, which will dramatically lower the number of spam complaints and the general disengagement that you would get if you were to just send to everybody. It's going to stabilize your performance over time. So by you segmenting and prioritizing engaged contacts, it's going to increase your overall email performance over time. And I think the theme with this slide is the long term. We don't want to just think short term and, oh, I'm just going to send to everybody because I want to make sure I'm reaching them all and they're seeing my name in their inbox. No, we want to segment to create that long-term positive growth, positive sender reputation. And every campaign you send, like I said, it builds your history. It doesn't just go into the abyss of the ecosystem email world. Segmentation is going to ensure that your history trends positive and it's making your deliverability more reliable over time. Because let's face it, you're not just going to send one email and then be done and never contact them. You're going to probably always send to them in some capacity. So we want to think long term and make sure that the Gmails, the Yahoos, the Outlooks, they know you're legit and you're here to stay and you're here to make it into the inbox. And so with that, I'm going to pass it back to Autumn and she's going to take us through some key takeaways of what we've talked about.
Awesome. Thank you. So as she mentioned, we are going to talk about some key takeaways. And with that, we've covered the 3 pillars of deliverability. We've covered authentication, audience quality, as well as engagement. So now we're going to bring it all together with these key takeaways from today's session. So to wrap up, we're going to start, again, as mentioned, with the key takeaways. And one of the first ones is how deliverability is earned and not guaranteed. So your ability to reach the inbox is determined by a few things. So your sender reputation, the quality of your audience, and how engaged your recipients are. The second thing is audience quality is going to be your biggest lever. You can't control every algorithm, but you can control who you're sending to, how often you're sending, and when you clean up your inactive contacts. So you want to focus on quality contacts over the list size. The third thing is engagement is going to be your strongest signal. So as mentioned, mailbox providers reward positive signals like opens, clicks, and replies, and they also penalize negative actions like ignoring, deleting, and marking your emails as spam. The fourth thing is going to be remembering that consistency builds reputation. So we want to make sure that we avoid sudden or massive spikes in sending volume or long gaps. We want to be consistent in sending to engaged subscriber, which is going to build that trust over time. So as mentioned, deliverability is a cumulative effort. That fifth thing is authentication is foundational. So setting up protocols like SPF, DKIM, and DMARC is essential for credibility. So if you don't authenticate your domain, everything else becomes much harder. And then that last thing is segmentation turns emails into a strategy. So sending to your whole list is a tactic essentially. Segmenting your audience based on their engagement and their behavior is going to be a smart strategy that ensures that the right message reaches the right person, which is overall going to boost your long-term success. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Jordan to kick off our Q&A.
All right. We covered a lot and there's a lot of questions. And so I'm going to toggle between answering them and also taking us a nap because I'm a visual learner. So I like to learn what I'm looking at. One thing, so Anna had asked, what is a general benchmark for a good open and click rate? And I'm going to drop this in the chat right now. And I'm also going to share my screen. But we have MailChimp put together benchmarks for you guys. So we didn't. And this is what I dropped in the chat. So please definitely take a look at it. But we have industry benchmarks for average open rate, average click rate, and unsubscribe rate. So this is a good kind of baseline to see, okay, where are we falling? Am I on track? Am I, above or below? And one thing I want to show us in app is, I hope we're all fairly familiar with, I'm going to take us an app and make sure that we can see this. Okay. The marketing dashboard. This is so key and so helpful. So the reason I pivoted back in app is because, so I actually scrolled to the bottom. This is the top of the marketing dashboard. You'll see conversions if you're an e-com customer. I'm going to just scroll down to the bottom. So we have marketing engagement. This is going to show us by channel. So your email engagement, I can toggle if you have SMS activated to your account, you can see metrics for your SMS program. And then this is new, if y'all have not seen this, but we now have the ability to see our automation stats in one view. So historically, as I'm sure we maybe have felt that pain, we had to go to the automations tab and then go into an individual flows report to see how it's doing, the metrics, etc. We brought that all together in one view within our past February product launch. So this is absolutely key. Game changer. I loved this. I was so excited to let my customers know, but you can now see each channel in one view. So I say all of that too, because this is my test account. So I unfortunately don't have a ton of data. Let me see if I can pull anything. Here we go. But this view is going to show you your total sends for whatever duration you have up here. So I'm just looking, let me see, last day. Let's do the last 90 days. Okay. And now it's reflecting against the previous period. So I'm only looking at the last 90 days. And I'm going to boost it because actually I want more data to show you guys. But anyways, you get the gist. It shows you, hey, healthy, good bounce rate, healthy. This is a total amount of bounces. It's going to help you. We are not here to leave you guessing like, okay, is this good or not? So this is going to break down for email specifically, your metrics. And then what's even nicer is the most relevant email campaigns that you have. Like if I want to look from a week perspective or by campaign, it'll show you by campaign how it's doing. So I know this wasn't the initial question, but here I am. It'll show you by campaign your performance metrics, which is amazing. So of course, these are my test emails. And then it shows you what channel it is. So this was a automation. If I had sent emails, it would show the blue email bar, but wanting to just call this out, that the delivery performance is available. We do have email conversion funnels as well as SMS conversion funnels. This is fairly new as well. So it breaks down total sends, 10,000, how many actually landed, so on and so forth. Only 12 opened. It's not super good, but again, it shows you a funnel and it shows you the drop off. So what I like to tell my customers too is if I sent to a large number and only a certain portion opened, that makes me reflect on what was my subject line. Why did I not get a high open rate? Do I need to go back and evaluate and maybe do an A/B test? These are some things to keep in mind. I digress. I'm so sorry, but wanted to just make sure that we're all using the tools like we had mentioned we have available. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's see what other questions we have. Okay. Okay, let me just read this one. So Lisa asked, you mentioned not purchasing list, but when clients approach with email lists from trade shows from people who chose to receive messages from third parties, we encourage clients not to import these contacts. What is your take on this? I mean, Lisa, I love that you're thinking with caution. Okay, so this is kind of a twofold. I feel like it's a little risky because with email lists from trade shows, from people who chose to receive messages from third parties, we need to be explicit and say, hey, are you opting in to receive emails from this company, my company? These are the type of emails you're going to get. Then it's okay. But this sounds a little risky just because messages from third parties, what does that mean? Like, where is my email going? Who is going to contact me? I have no idea. That is risky. And so I actually agree with you on not importing these contacts, because it would be different if a client came to you with a group of emails they got from the trade show, explicitly telling those people, hey, my company, Jordan.com, is going to email you. Are you okay with that? And they say yes. The third party is a little risky. So we just avoid it at all costs because we don't want to increase your spam complaints, your bounce rates, etc. So I agree with you, Lisa. Yeah, Autumn, I wasn't sure. I don't want to skip over, but if you had anything to add, but if not, I can keep going to the next question.
No, I think you answered it pretty clearly, because like you said, it's a little concerning from that third party. So I agree with that.
Perfect. And also go with your gut anytime. If you feel like, well, this might be a little risky, a little sketchy, you're probably right. So good question, Lisa. And I know people want to buy a list to just see that larger number, but sometimes larger is not better. So great job. Great job there. Let's look. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. We have a lot of questions about. So Holly asked, is there a way to find emails in our audience that have marked our messages as spam? There is not. We can't see, did it land in spam? Did they mark it? Did they flag it? I'm trying to look. I'm going to share my screen, because what we do like to do is go in app. So I'm in my test account and I pulled up an email report that I had sent last year. And you can, I'm sure we've all been here, so sorry if this is repetitive. You can see this data. I was trying to find, of course, I don't have a ton of clickable data. But typically, like if I had feedback of recipient data, you can see like if they hard bounced or if they soft bounce, and that gives you an indicator of the email address in itself. A hard bounce means that email address has a permanent issue. A soft bounce means it's temporarily, maybe the inbox is full, they haven't cleaned it out, and your message just could not make it in. But typically within your reports, you can see those bounce rates. And I was trying to find in my account, you can see the unsubs too. And this is a normal clickable number, so you can see who unsubscribed. But I was trying to find complained. I wish I had data. But check out where I just went. So let's say you click into an email report. So I'm going to take us back to square one. So this is my campaign page, and I want to look at a previous email I sent. Let me filter actually by emails. So I'm going to click into a campaign report here. I'm going to click view report, because maybe I'm just curious, like, how did this one perform? If I had a high bounce rate, which you would be able to click into, you can see the bounces. But if you click recipient activity, oh my gosh, where did I go? You should be able to see that data. Of course, I don't have anything in my test account, but the recipient activity should show you any abuse reports. It won't, typically it'll say too, if they do unsubscribe, it'll give you an unsubscribe reason, which is very helpful because we want to know, okay, is our content not resonating? Did you forget that you opted in and you don't know why you're getting these messaging? So that would also be a reason why. But definitely check out these tabs. And also a marketing dashboard. Let me go here. You can see data. Let me see. Delivery performance right here. So this, for any, like, how is the health of my audience? What is my unsubscribe rate? Who unsubscribed? Where are my bounces? The delivery performance. Let me zoom out a little bit. Chart is going to be your best friend. I took us to an individual campaign because should you have any concerns about a specific campaign, maybe you see that on this view. Like we saw, I was just in that test email, this one, and you saw high unsubscribes. That's when you would go into the individual campaign and maybe dig a little bit deeper. But this view entirely is very helpful. The delivery performance chart. And like I said, I love these labels. You also can edit what metrics you're seeing on your screen. So if you're like, I wanted to look at abuse report rate and I wanted to only look at abuse reports, so on and so forth, you can customize that and it'll have this reflect what you set. So this is really helpful. And yeah, if you ever forget what any of these mean, you can hover over them and it'll tell you. But definitely check out the delivery performance. And it's nice too, if you have SMS added, it'll give you similar metrics. Like this one, the delivery rate needs attention. All eyes right there, figure out why. So definitely check out your campaign report to look at individual campaigns and your delivery performance chart. Okay, I'm going to share Anna's. I don't know if you, I think you finished the question in a different one. Let's do this one. How do you handle people who repeatedly soft bounce? For example, maybe they're a subscriber who used to engage a lot, but now their inbox is full. Should you remove them after a certain amount of times? So Anna, this is a great question, and lucky for you, you personally don't have to do anything. So MailChimp, we monitor these bounces. So if your email soft bounces after a certain amount of times, MailChimp will automatically calculate them as a hard bounce. And we will eventually, if they continuously hard bounce, I think we give them like 3 more tries, we'll mark them as cleaned. So if you guys have ever in your audience seen your contacts and they have a pill called cleaned, that means that MailChimp has given them ample amount of times to land in the inbox or not bounce. And we've just removed them. And that's honestly a safety on your end because we've identified, hey, there's a permanent reason with this email and it can't be delivered. And so we're going to remove them. We allow 7 soft bounces for an email to make that attempt. And again, a soft bounce could mean the inbox is full, the mailbox isn't configured, maybe it's inactive. I know you mentioned maybe they previously were engaged a lot, but now their inbox is full. So we give them 7 soft bounces, and then after that, we'll mark them as a hard bounce. And that doesn't mean they're completely out of your list, but if they continue to hard bounce, then MailChimp will step in and move them as cleaned. And let me drop this really helpful article. I'm going to drop this in the chat. We get a lot of questions about soft versus hard bounces, so please take a look at that. Okay, let's see. Eventually, a hard bounce. So Noah asked, I thought one hard bounce meant cleaned. It's not immediate. So let me see. I'm going to drop another article. These are great articles. Hopefully they are helpful to everybody. But I'm going to drop this actually. This is helpful. And it actually goes into why they can hard bounce and how we kind of calculate the cleaned. So let me send this. Okay. Just doing this on the spot. So sorry, everybody. Okay. So let's see. We have a lot of, Nicole asked a really great question. Are emojis and subject lines more likely to go to the spam folder? No, not necessarily. And our best practice is to actually do an A/B test with one subject line with emojis and one with not, and see what resonates with your audience best. But it's all about moderation. So don't join our webinar and then 7 emojis. That might look a little spammy, but adding emojis it's not an automatic, we're going to push you to spam. It's definitely, we encourage you to use an emoji. And my best recommendation would just be to test. Everybody's audience is different. Your business models are different. So your audience might be more likely to engage with something friendly or bright than no emoji. So definitely just test, do an A/B test, but they're not more likely to go to spam if you were to use an emoji. And then let's see. So Lisa asked, I love the soft bounces. These are great questions. So I thought MailChimp would continue to send to contacts who soft bounce different lengths of time depending on whether they have ever interacted with your email. Is that different now? So no. Let me show you this. MailChimp. So if an email address continues to soft bounce, the address will eventually be considered a hard bounce and cleaned from your audience. We, as MailChimp, allow 7 soft bounces for an email address with no subscriber activity and up to 15 soft bounces for contacts with previous subscriber activity before converting a soft bounce into a hard bounce. Hopefully that cleared it up. So there is a differentiator. Okay, perfect. Yay. Let's see. Okay. Lots of questions about soft. I hope that benchmark 2 was helpful because I see a lot of questions I generally asked about the soft bounces and spam. Let's see. Okay, so Nicole, this is a great question. Nicole asked, since you mentioned that replies to emails are considered positive feedback, I was wondering if interactions within a marketing newsletter like a poll, QA submission would count similarly as engagement, even if people aren't directly replying to the email. So my initial answer is yes, only because if there's a poll in your embedded into your email, or if there's a Q&A box, click here to submit a Q&A, that click will resonate as engagement activity. So it's not necessarily that we're tracking, the poll responses or the votes, it's the click. So technically, yes, like if as long as it's embedded in Mailchimp can track that click and track that users are engaging with your emails, yes, that would it'd be positive. It would show engagement within your emails. So great question. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So Holly asked, you mentioned removing invalid email addresses, but doesn't MailChimp remove invalid email addresses automatically? So yes, we convert your hard bounces into cleaned. And so what we typically when we're talking about like removing invalid email addresses, it's definitely two when you I guess I should have like reworded this. But invalid email addresses can come in two forms. I feel like definitely engagement. So if you use a segment, which hopefully we all do, and we're testing to see who's engaging, are they valid email addresses? Are they engaging with us? If not, maybe we take a look at those inactive, have not engaged, have not opened, they're considered invalid to us. Let's maybe suppress them and consider removing them. So I get, yes, MailChimp does it on our end too. We will identify that the emails are not landing and we'll mark them as hard eventually. But if you want to be kind of proactive with it and get ahead of us marking them as cleaned, you could definitely create segments and see who are my invalid emails, like who are my unsubscribed customers, and let me just help MailChimp, I guess. Autumn dropped thank you. In the chat, she dropped this awesome article, which hopefully can sum up to like identifying inactive subscribers, how to define them, what to look out for, etc. So definitely take a look at this article that we shared out. But let me see. I'm gonna just check. I know we're coming up on time too. Awesome, Holly. Definitely, these are great questions. And I would love to have our team take a look further at your accounts and see if we can help partner with you one-on-one, help build a segment for you to look at your invalid customers, to look at your unengaged. So definitely, I'm going to launch the survey right now. Please select that you want someone to reach out to you, and we can have someone follow up with you on the content and just help you continue growing with MailChimp. There's so many tools. There's so much we really didn't even get to dig into within the platform, but that's why these webinars are continuous. So please keep an eye out in your inbox for them. And I'm going to go ahead and launch the survey, but that's all the time we have now. Like I said, we have sessions weekly, so keep an eye out in your inbox. And thank you so much for joining and all of the engagement. Super excited to have you all, and I just appreciate the time. And that's it. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.